And we are back. We have just gotten rid or finished up all of these Zerg matches that we're going to be casting here on the D stream for the evening, but there's still plenty of Terran players left, and now we are going to be casting a TvT with entirely new players here. You know, we followed Epic for quite a bit in Game 1 and Game 2. Now we are jumping in to Binski versus Vindicta, and yeah, we're gonna be as neutral as we possibly can here.
No bias. No, we have no conflicting interests with the current players competing. Go Miguel, go!
Just ignore that. Then
Ignore the jerseys, ignore the jerseys. But yes, we are now diving into our third series of the day. Honestly, the day has gone by pretty quickly. We've been live for an hour and we've already had 2 series go through. So
thanks, Epic.
Thanks, Epic. but mate, the games have been epic. So honestly, it's pretty nice what we've had, and we'll see if we can keep the quality up here in a TvT.
Indeed we shall. I gotta tell you, like, you wanna know what the best thing about casting on the CranKy Ducklings channel is?
Go for it.
You can post copy passes.
We can on my knees for Migs to please. Let's go.
As we load into Hardwire, we're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spotting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We of course have our red Terran player coming out from the land of America. He's going to be representing License to Kill, our first outside store player of the evening. He is Binski. LTK.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hardwire ESL, we have the American Terran player himself, representing one of the best teams out there in the entire world, the CranKy Ducklings. It is Vindicta.
Look at how handsome that logo is.
Oh my god,
it's beautiful.
It's amazing, mate.
Yeah.
Oh my god, but
Luke.
Things are starting a little bit cheesy, mate. Let's go.
I love it coming out here from Binski. It's not just a proxy Rax that he's thrown down. It is a proxy Rax to support the Rax that he has back home. So I'm thinking Reapers right now, Light.
100%, mate, 100%. What's important about this proxy is that it kind of looks normal back at home. Vindicta is going to go for an SCV scout, and he will be like, oh, the Rax is here. That means you're probably not proxying me. And ooh, Binski even completely walls off as well, just keeping Vindicta in the dark.
Yeah, very big tell here for Vindicta. For him to not see any follow-up building to that, no factory, no CC, but because he's blocked off, he has no idea.
Yeah, there could be a CC on the high ground for all he knows. There could be a factory follow-up as well. Vindicta just doesn't know. He's going to be scouting a little bit here, going to be checking the right-hand side of the map, which makes sense. These are the more obvious locations. Unfortunately, ooh, the Reaper is headed in the direction of the proxy.
And he will be able to scout it right at the end here.
He turns around at the last moment.
No.
Vindicta.
That is... yeah, that is unfortunate to say the least. He is being a little bit occupied here by the initial Reaper coming out from Binski, and now finally he knows it's a it's a proxy Reaper coming his way. He did get that factory, and he does cancel his natural base, which is always nice to see. He needs some Hellions out pronto, though.
Yeah, first Hellion is already on the way. At least Vindicta was able to get an eye on this without losing his Reaper. That may have been game then and there if he loses his first Reaper a little bit too quickly. Meanwhile, ooh, nice positioning here. Does shoot first.
Yeah, really gets that one Reaper down very, very, very low. You can even tell that he's kind of skirting around the edge of his bases to see if he can really put an end to that. Now that the Reaper's out, he's taken over the map control. Binski hasn't stopped producing Reapers though, so Vindicta might have to be a little careful.
Yeah, it looks like Binski has given up on this proxy location. Upon seeing the Hellion and upon not really getting any kind of momentum going his way, he has kind of given up and he's expanding back at home. And this is okay for Binski because, hey, his natural is on location and is going to be that much faster than Vindicta's.
Yeah, quite a bit, quite a bit. However, his tech is a little bit lacking. I do appreciate that he's grabbing that Cyclone just to be a little bit safe, but Vindicta's starport already finished up now.
Ooh, and I love this. He's going straight for that tech lab. Is he going to double down? Is the Madman going to go for a Banshee or a more standard Raven?
It's going to be the Raven. Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, hasn't completely lost his mind.
Yeah. If he had gone for the Banshee, well, again, the Cyclone would have come into play. You know, Binski is prepared for that kind of scenario to deal with that. Again, meanwhile, he is going to be able to finish his CC on location. Vindicta is going to float his over, and it looks like in the end, Vindicta will actually get his up a little bit faster.
Yeah, even transforms into an orbital a little quicker, and I'm definitely a little bit surprised that Vindicta hasn't really gone for any counter scouts until now, but I guess it makes sense. He was anticipating Binski to be very, fortified back in his main.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't want to get caught out in the middle of the map or anything like that. Meanwhile, Vindicta does dive into the main base, confirms all the tech in the main, confirms, hey, you probably have a CC as well. And he should be feeling pretty good about himself back at home. Binski now has the map control, has a lot of units, to be fair. 2 Cyclones. My god.
That's a lot of kiting potential, especially if they're able to lock onto either a tank or this Raven. Yeah, pretty much anything at this point. Well, I mean, you don't want to waste it on a Reaper or something, right? But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity here for Binski.
Oh, exactly. I was really concerned about this Raven for a moment, but the tank now gets to the low ground. It will be able to siege up. The Reapers can dive into the main base, but Vindicta is already ready and waiting.
Yeah, Hellion there to deal a little bit of splash damage, and the Cyclone to follow that up with. Due to the high ground vision, though, one of Binski's Cyclones does get a lock on the Hellion.
Yeah, that was really nicely done there by Binski. That was totally intentional as well. That's why he brought the Cyclones over, so he could get the lock on. I'm sure he wanted the Cyclone, but getting a Hellion is still nice nonetheless.
Yeah, it just makes it so that, there are a little bit fewer defenses against these Reapers down the line. Meanwhile, Vindicta's Reaper Scout, follow-up scout does get denied, but at least he scouts the CC being produced.
Looking at his vision, he did not see the CC.
What? Whoa. That was insanely close.
Yeah, that's crazy. Unfortunately, the Reaper, I guess, didn't get up the ramp, didn't get onto the high ground, so did not see the CC. Doesn't know how greedy Binski is being behind this, with a much faster third base. But Binski, with this greed, he's going to be trying to protect it by being aggressive.
And of course, an upside to getting that earlier second barracks from Binski is that he is able to complete his stim much quicker than Vindicta. I mean, Vindicta, his eyes aren't even on that target right now. He is producing Vikings, he's producing tanks to take up a more defensive stance, which is, of course, definitely what he should be doing at this position, but still, there's plenty of opportunity for Binski.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially with these Ravens. He has to be careful. If he does go for auto harass, there are Vikings, again, Vikings and Cyclones ready and waiting to shut it down. We do see a bit of a scan here in the main base. Vindicta does confirm the third.
Blue Flame?
Mate.
We're in it for some mech here. Nyx is going mech.
Oh my god. I was about to point out that the Rax was indeed floating. There's a reason why Vindicta does not have stim.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna kill him, but that's totally intentional coming out from him. Second and even a third factory is in production. Yeah, makes this looking to slow this down a little bit.
Oh, here he is. Meanwhile, we do have a lock on one of these Ravens of Vindicta. The Raven does go down.
Yeah, it even throws out a couple of auto turrets, but there's so much DPS here with all these Stim Marines from Binski. Now, he's not going to be able to find a way to push on through, but he is going to find a way to force it to lift off on that third CC and take out 8 SCVs.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, another lock-on, but this one is not on the Raven. Auto turret goes down, but it does not take down any of these tanks. Solid defense so far here by Binski, slowing this down, keeping Vindicta on 2 bases.
That's pretty devastating right now for Vindicta. Binski is just continuing to reinforce this. He has a very strong foothold in this location. And again, because Vindicta is going for mech, there's not a very easy way for him to either go around this and try to go for a surround, or you go for a counter attack or counter harass while this is all going on.
Yeah, like collapsing on this army is almost impossible. He does have a wave of Hellions on the way, even has some flanking Widow Mines, which are pretty interesting. Liberator comes out, which I love. Like, these Vikings aren't really doing anything, but with the Liberator, he will force the unsiege.
And a correct choice to make, really. He knows he has the air control. I'm even digging the Widow Mines here is a little bit of a deterrent, but the Reapers are able to get their eyes on it, and it will be able to take it out. Good positioning here for Vindicta. He will be re-establishing his third base, but as all of this is going on, Binski just continuing to macro up back at home.
Man, I love that, by the way. Vindicta was trying to style on Binski there. He was trying to, again, force Binski into that Widowmine field, and he just baited them out with Reapers. Like, that was so good. So Binski, he is able to, again, just outmaneuver his opponent a little bit, but yo, there's one more Widowmine up.
But the Raven is here! Is able to get his shot off, but only on a single Marine. That's a lot of tanks, Light. Oh, the stiff Marines!
Don't like this, puppy. Don't like this. He dives on top of the tanks. He won't get a single tank, puppy. At the same time, though, he goes for a massive doom drop into the main base. But the missile turrets killed the Medivacs.
Yeah, only one tank able to land, and it is going to be dealt with here. A lot of SCVs went down for Vindicta, but now those Blue Flame Hellions are really paying off for him. He's equalizing the damage, actually getting a little bit more.
Oh my god, the Mineral Line was forced off the third base. 16 SCVs go down. That drop was so unfortunate, I'm afraid, but I'm going to look at the battle report here. Ay. 2 full Medivacs went down here, and only a single tank and a handful of Marines got out.
Yeah, not to mention all those Marines simming forward into 3 tanks at the natural base as well. This was... I don't want to call it a throw because Binski is still ahead economically. You know, he's got his 4th base, he's working on his 5th, he's got a lot of production his way, but he's definitely given up a lot of his map control there.
He really has, and he was not able to reset the tank count at all. He has killed 1 tank this game. And now Vindicta is pushing out with 11 tanks to the 4 of Binski.
11 tanks, a whole bunch of Hellions, all of these Vikings, and a couple of... actually, no, he does have the Liberator here.
Oh yeah, the Liberator is harassing here in the main base. It does get spotted, so it's not going to deal too much damage, but these tanks are so exposed for Binski.
Yeah, they are way too isolated right now. All the tanks of Vindicta siege up and immediately take out the one. I feel sorry for that tank, man.
At the same time, we do have a double drop coming in towards the natural base, but we do have a couple of Hellions. The Hellions are not going to be enough, though. Binski is dealing damage, but at the same time, he is going to lose. Ooh, that's a kill on his fort.
Yep. Can't lift up a planetary, nor can you cancel it.
He chose not to.
Yeah, Binski gonna try to do a lot here with what little he has remaining. Again, fantastic positioning on those missile turrets, and it's a real good thing that he kept a couple of Vikings at home. A lot of SCVs are going down, but every time Vindicta loses an SCV, he kills 2 more of Binski, it feels.
Pretty much, mate. These tanks have just done so much here across the map for Vindicta. He's keep on going. What's important is that he was able to clean up all the drops across the map, so now he has nothing to worry about. There are 3 Marines across the map. That is it for Binski, and Vindicta is slowly leapfrogging forward.
Yeah, I do like Binski's unit composition. He has a very good number of Marauders here, but he has
no
way to really collapse on top of them. He is pulling all the boys. The tanks are a little bit exposed. Hellion's not quite here to provide a buffer, but at this point there are just so many tanks. Everything is starting to go down, but Binski actually does have enough Marauders.
He will clean this up, but was it worth it in the end? That's the real question. You can see Vindicta almost has double the worker count right now, and because he's playing mech, like, he just rebuilt all his tanks. Like, he has so many factories producing. Like, what did Binski really accomplish? He is able to survive, but for how much longer?
Yeah, he gives himself a little bit of breathing room, but you know, it's one of those scenarios where he's being pinned to a wall. He's able to force Vindicta to break his hold, but that allows him to re-establish an even better one.
Pretty much, mate. I mean, again, Binski is fighting back as hard as he can. He was able to rebuild a decent amount of tanks. 4 tanks here in total. Is going to be able to slow down the push of Vindicta, but for how much longer?
Yeah, you can really see the air dominance paying off for Vindicta here. As he just edges closer and closer with his tanks, he's able to pick off more and more of them. Again, it would be nice for him to have a couple of Liberators here, but I understand why he's a little bit more hesitant to get them.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. He's actually making Medivacs right now.
Well, yeah, he needs to, he needs to drop the Hellbats on top of the tank.
He needs to heal the Hellbats, man. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah.
So I guess
He needs
he's...
to drop SCVs
Well,
to repair.
unironically, it looks like he does want to go for a Doom drop, which will be a decisive way to get into the main base. But again, at the same time, does he even need to? Vindicta is getting on top of this third base. Ay. Binski, though, trying to go for a massive drop here into the main.
With all the missile turrets, really?
Does he not remember what happened earlier in this game? Oh my god, he's
Yeah,
going for it!
The third. Yeah, he's going for the third, but there's a tank in position, and again, there are just a couple of fewer turrets here, in all fairness, so actually most of the bio is able to land.
Yeah, most of the bio does land. The medevacs do go down, so this bio, it's a one-way trip. They will not be going home. They do get a lot of workers, and just like that, Binski is going to be able to even up that worker count. And he's unsieged!
Yeah, very nicely done by Binski. Vindicta sieges, but the stimmed bio just turns around. Does not have to engage into any of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, this drop is doing so much damage. A couple of tanks get taken down as well. The missile turret, sorry, the sensor tower. Eventually, Vindicta will be able to clean up this drop, but across the map, once again, can he hold on?
Oh, there was an opportunity there, but Vindicta does siege up just in the nick of time. And no matter how much bio you have, you cannot stim forward into 6 sieged up tanks like that.
Exactly. Meanwhile, really nice drop play there by Vindicta. He dropped his Hellbats on top of the tanks, was able to kill 4 of them in total. So again, Binski still doesn't really have too much momentum going his way. Can't really just force himself in. Oh.
Yeah, but even then, there are a couple of tanks over in that location, I suppose.
Oh, the Widowmine.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to bait the bio. Will he get it? He does, but, you know, at this point, one Widowmine's not going to be able to do too much. Vindicta does scan, and he does know that the bio's coming his way. Sieges on top of this ramp. Forces all this bio to turn around.
Yeah, unfortunately, Binski was trying to go for a massive counterattack. He knows that he cannot push into this main army. He could try and go for a surround, but really, he's getting surrounded.
Yeah. It's a kind of Julius Caesar method. Tank does go down, and a lot of these helmets are as well. But at this point, there are just way too many tanks for the bio to engage into, even if they're unsieged.
Unsieged tanks aren't the worst thing. Meanwhile, we even have a couple more drops here on top of the tanks of Binski. Once again, the 4th base goes down as well. Binski's still stuck on 3 bases, and he's starting to mine out. Binski, though, he's coming in from multiple angles, but does he just have the numbers, Papi?
He does not. He's pulling the boys, but even then, it's not enough. GG is called. Vindicta gonna take game number 1 after giving me, honestly, some pretty old school innovation vibes with those Hellbat drops.
You don't see Hellbat drops too often anymore, and yeah, part of me, I'll be honest, I was a little bit worried that maybe it was a mistake that Vindicta was making medevacs. I'm like, yo, aren't Liberators a little bit better right now? But he made really good use of those Hellbats.
Yeah, you never anticipate the Hellbat drops. And, you know, getting a fusion core, that just costs a little too much, you know?
True.
Getting that range upgrades. Even though there were no Vikings, you know, Marines, men with gun, they're pretty good.
Yeah, it was a really nice way to capitalize on his air dominance, right? Like, because he had all the Vikings, there was nothing to really stop him from dropping everywhere. With his Hellbats, I should say. Usually it's Marines, but like they were never really in position to protect his tanks. So yeah, it was a very unique style from Vindicta to go for that instead of Liberators.
And in the end, worked out for him as damn it, even Kuro's in on the memes now.
Oh no.
So I'm looking at the chat.
Let's go, Migs! By the way, Migs is Vindicta. I can use his first name because we are tight like that. Yeah, I know top players, but it's not a big deal to me. Lol.
I feel like a variation you specifically like can make in that is, yeah, I can call him by his first name because I'm his boss.
Because I'm his dad.
Yeah.
Every time Migs is in, is in the Twitch chat, he's like, "Hi, Dad," and I'm like, "Oh boy, not again."
Also, does Migs work as a first name? I mean, you know, it's based on his first name.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the exact same thing. Anyway, we are going to be continuing on 2,000 atmospheres. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the red Terran player coming up from the land of America. He is the Bioman, going to be representing License to Kill LTK. He is Binski.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the American Terran himself. He is blue, representing the CranKy Ducklings. It is Vindicta.
Quack.
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 Get the copy pastas in the chat, mate. Vindicta, yes, the very same player who took down Bjorn a couple weeks ago. Well, now 2 months ago now, I think.
About a month? Oh, wow. No, it's still, yeah, no.
It was before DreamHack.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just about a month. I mean, now we're, I mean, Easter just happened, so it's about in the middle of April.
Time flies, mate. Time flies.
I was not prepared for, I was not prepared for all of it to go by so quick.
I know. But yeah, it's really great to see both of these players performing well. What I will say is that, like, even Binski had some times to shine there with his unit control, especially in the early game. Even when it comes to like dealing with widow mines and collapsing on armies. Just a couple of questionable engagements.
Yeah, that's definitely how I would. That's definitely how I would describe it as well. Binski, when it was definitely doing a lot right, you know, especially, like you mentioned, when it came to actually controlling his units. I did not think he would ever be able to break out of that contain that happened, even after pulling out the boys, but it does seem like he has that same curse that a lot of Bioterran players have, which is that bloodlust.
Yeah.
See a lot of tanks, you want to stem on top of them, but it very rarely works out.
Yeah, like sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. That's the problem with that style. You know, there was even, you know, not scanning and like dropping into the main base and like losing his like medevacs before they could really do anything as well. You know, a couple of moves like that. So yeah, hopefully Binski can take a little bit more care getting here into game number 2. What I do like is that this game he isn't really playing around with any kind of weird proxy shenanigans. He's playing a little bit more straight up here.
Yeah. Just a bit of a Reaper. Yeah, Reaper expand coming down. He is a little bit worried about something Vindicta's going to throw his way. That bunker in the natural base is not typical of a TvT.
Yeah, it's almost like a TvP build. It's very greedy because, as we can see, like, Vindicta's still working on his CC, you know, focus a lot more on his factory production instead, and Binski's gonna be able to get away with defending with only Marines. But maybe I spoke too soon. Oh, he will be able to hold on to his main.
Yeah, Vindicta doesn't really get to see much of anything. I mean, he bruises up the Hellion, which is something, repair.
Something you don't see too often, but yeah, Vindicta, he's not gonna lose any workers.
Leave no man behind, says Migs, but two of them actually will go down. Cyclone will finally clean this up, but not before he loses, you know, James, his favorite SCV over there. James and Craig are what I'm gonna name these two fallen SCVs.
F's in the chat. Yeah, it's a dynamic we don't see too often, but I guess, you know, one Reaper doesn't have enough DPS to out deal damage of the repair. So yeah, that was kind of cute.
Is it worth it though? Because repairs do cost minerals.
They do. They look. It's about making a statement. Okay, it's all about the mental game.
You know. Yeah, the SCVs, they are not disposable. SCVs matter.
Oh yes, SCV lives matter. Meanwhile, 2 Hellions will be able to sneak all the way into the main base, getting a free scout in the main as well. Will eventually get cleaned up, but not before killing 2 SCVs and 2 mules.
That's a lot of damage. I mean, Binski already is roughly 10 workers ahead. You factor in the fact that the mules got taken out as well, and it's tough to see Vindicta really recovering without doing some damage of his own.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, can he actually take down this Hellion? It's going to be the Cyclone. Onomas!
Oh, not with the Marine follow-up. And now it's going to get repaired.
Oh, my... Oh!
It's going to try to get repaired.
The Banshee comes out of left field. He comes in with the steel chair, takes down the Cyclone.
Vindicta is back with a vengeance. You want to take out his SCVs? He's going to take out yours. But it's a little bit difficult when there are these many Marines.
Exactly. Like, Binski still has a very large economic lead here, but how much longer? Oh my god, a lot of lost mines here. This one Banshee is doing so much for Vindicta.
Yeah, they killed, Binski killed the Banshee's brother.
Exactly.
James CSCV, and now it's back.
Yeah. He hopped into a Banshee, just went across the map, man. Let's go.
And just like that, Vindicta has, for a brief moment, just about equalized, but for all intents and purposes, they are equal when it comes to the economies.
Yeah, exactly. A slight advantage in the way of Binski, but Vindicta was able to really even things up and make the most out of a really dire situation. So really well done there. Meanwhile, once again, Binski just doubling down on that economy, but Vindicta not too far behind him as both of them are working on their thirds.
And this time Vindicta is going for bio, which is something that Binski is going to go for as well. We're going to see a lot more of those classic Marine tank versus Marine tanks coming out.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some classic Doom Drop on Doom Drop action as well. Oh god, but it's really nice to see kind of a different variant of TvT from Vindicta. You know, he was able to flaunt his mech in the first game, and now he can switch things up and be more active.
Yeah, which you definitely love to see, especially from a player who is as positionally, who has such a high positional awareness like Vindicta does. Let's see how he places those Marines to cover his tanks and whatnot.
Yeah. We shall see, as both players are just, again, establishing themselves here outside their third bases so they can land them on location here. We got Stim for both players as well. Binski does have a decent window where he will be ahead in upgrades, as he already has 1-1 on the way, but not the biggest of windows, so we'll see if he's able to actually make use of it.
And the TvT, that's definitely a lot that the defender can do to kind of cause a bit of stalemate and force those upgrades to not matter as much until they can equalize.
Oh yeah, we talk about it all the time. It's so difficult to kind of break into these siege locations. That's why air superiority or air dominance is so important. Quickly looking here, we do see that Migs or Vindicta does have a little bit of a Viking lead for the time being, but he's down in Ravens. But again, doesn't matter if you're down in Ravens if you can't really close the distance and get on top of actually using your spells.
Yeah, it's definitely a stylistic choice here coming out from both players, I suppose. Binski waiting to get a ton of energy on those Ravens before really utilizing them. Vindicta does scout that the army is pushing out. Should be getting ready back at home.
Yeah, and an interesting choice here by Binski. He's actually stopped Viking production for quite some time. Vindicta hasn't. Because of that, like, again, he will be able to dominate the skies, but I worry, is he investing too much into these Vikings?
I love the idea of a Viking fake out potentially coming down here from Binski, Because it's like you said, these Vikings are fantastic for gaining that air dominance, and air dominance is definitely key to winning the positional battles with tanks and later in the game with liberators. But at a certain point, you have enough men with gun, you can break on forward and take out anything on the ground, really.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Thankfully, Vindicta has stopped here with 10 Vikings to the 4 of Binski. So again, Vindicta can do a lot. And to be fair, Vikings, you don't just have to use them to gain map control. You can go for maybe even Viking drops later on. You can like land them and actually have them be a part of that ground battle if need be. So we'll see how this goes here, as Binski has quite a supply lead.
Does have a very sizable supply lead, but what is the tank count looking like? Just about even, and I'm liking Vindicta's position here. So we'll see if that supply advantage is something that Binski can really leverage. He sims forward, notices the tanks, and stims on backwards.
That's the thing, right? Despite the fact that Binski has been up 20 supply and has a massive amount of Marines, like forcing yourself into a fortified position like this just isn't really going to work out. In TvT, the defender has such a massive advantage, and Vindicta can slow things down and catch up.
Yeah, I mean, he's already caught up. There we go.
Pretty much.
Still down when it comes to the workers, and his fourth is considerably later. than Binski. So, you know, even just forcing this sort of soft contain is going to be advantageous for Binski.
Yeah, Binski, he's just so on point of his expansions. He's already maxed out as well. He's looking to try and force a denial of this 4th base, but has to be a little bit careful. The Vikings are exposed. No, the Ravens!
One of them already taken out, 2 of them even. And yeah, that's gonna be a lot that's not helping out in the future fight. Vindicta actually taking the Raven lead.
Yeah, Binski leaving his army a little bit idle there for one moment, and Vindicta does dive on it, but meanwhile, here we go. Binski does siege up. The tanks of Vindicta aren't in position.
Oh, love the anti-armor missile coming out here from Binski. It's definitely one way of evening the playing grounds, but yeah, another anti-armor missile does get thrown down for Vindicta. Neither player wants to engage into all of these tanks while their Marines are so Dorito dusted.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? With this disable Vindicta, he can edge ever closer, and he can get in range.
And takes out just about all of the Vikings here of Binski, and even throws on a couple of auto turrets. Not really doing much, you know. There's just way too many tanks and way too many Marines to really take advantage of that for now.
Yeah, but you know what? Binski cannot push on forward, but doesn't matter because he's in range of the CC. He is not letting Vindicta take his 4th, while Binski happily mines back at home.
And it definitely won't matter if Vindicta takes the other 4th location, but for now it matters quite a bit.
Exactly, as Vindicta is attempting to take control of that 4th. Meanwhile, Binski has to also be careful not to overstay his welcome here as he does on siege. Oh.
But there's not enough Marines here to really take advantage of that. Binski will siege on forward, but here come the Liberators now, and this is a choke point for the Marines, which are the only anti-air available for Binski. These Liberators, man, the absolute MVP. They will ensure that Vindicta is able to take that 4th. The Marines over in the other location just to make sure that Binski doesn't do anything too up-and-coming!
Oh my god.
Great disables on top of the tanks from Binski! 4th stays alive, but a lot of the bio does get taken out.
Yeah, this is really risky from Vindicta. I don't know if you've noticed, but every single Marine is here at the 3rd location. He does not have a buffer at all for his tanks, and I feel like Binski isn't really taking full advantage of that. Because of that, Vindicta is going for a massive counterattack. He doesn't get spotted though.
He does, and hopefully this prompts Binski to move on forward. I don't think, yeah, I mean, there's a planetary over here. Vindicta probably shouldn't get too much damage done in this position, so he's just shucking around trying to find another one. As the game continues, I feel like Binski will be able to... it feels like Binski should be able to get an advantage when it comes to the economy, but Vindicta's actually the player who's maxed out. Okay, now they're both maxed out.
Yeah, Vindicta has been able to trade a little bit more efficiently now they're both working on their banks. What's scary is Vindicta is getting ready for potentially a massive round here on these tanks of Binski. Or for a counterattack, I don't know. We'll see what the Marines do.
He's positioning himself in the sensor tower to draw the attention away, you know?
Oh my god!
Catch reinforcements, potentially? He doesn't quite see the tanks.
Oh yeah, the tanks will siege up, and here is the mass surround on this location of Binski. 4 tanks immediately go down.
And finally, this 4th will be able to get up and running. Very massive pickoffs, honestly, for Vindicta. What's the opposite of picking off the reinforcement site? Picking off the retreat?
Yeah, it was basically a trap. You know, Vindicta was able to just get that full surround, swallow up the army. Oh, and now he can just keep on going from here. Oh, but he does lose the Liberator.
Yeah, it looks like the Viking count has been reset a little bit, or rather Binski has been able to overtake the Viking lead. Anti-armor missile can do a lot to even that out, but not if you lose your Vikings in a retreat like that.
Exactly. Meanwhile, once again, like, Vindicta does this so often. It's so brave, it's so bold. He just abandons his tanks with his Marines. Is kind of setting himself up here towards the south instead.
Yeah, he'd love to go for a surround, but unfortunately for him, that debris is in array, and that debris is in range of the sensor towers, so...
Yeah.
I think they're not quite able to open that up for him.
Meanwhile, Binski will be able to take a 5th base, but at the same time, there are no missile starts set up here. Liberators are going to siege.
And they are going to siege on top of the building SCVs that are producing those missile turrets. Vindicta a little bit delayed with sieging up his Liberators, though. He is able to take them out. He is doing it again, and there's barely any defenses over here.
Yeah, there's 3 tanks, but they're only just now sieging up. We do have an anti-armor missile, though, and there we go. Binski is able to catch this army.
Yeah, a lot of the Marines actually preoccupied with shooting the barracks. Definitely an unfortunate A move going on there from Vindicta, but while all that is happening, he does open up this western location a little bit. Oh, but he doesn't have the Marines to capitalize on it.
He lost all his Marines there in that run by, and it wasn't really worth it. Sure, he got a couple of tanks, but he lost his Marines, he lost his medevacs as well, and now he's looking a little bit vulnerable here. We still have plenty of Ravens, as Binski has been rebuilding them 2 at a time.
And that just goes to show how much better his economy is right now. He's getting his 6th base up and running. Vindicta's still kind of struggling to mine from the 4th. He is getting Liberator range, but I don't think that's going to matter too much if, Binski continues to maintain air dominance.
Yeah, as Binski takes his 6th base as well. Jesus Christ. The way that this madman has been expanding. Vindicta will finally get a 5th up, though, so he's not too far behind in the economy, but he is burning through his bank.
Yeah, very, very quickly now. He is maxed out again, but so is Binski, so...
Exactly. Meanwhile, Vindicta is setting himself up for another massive flank. Going to be cleaning up some of these rocks to help him out.
Okay, he's actually going to try to surround the army this time instead of going for a big counterattack.
That's what you think.
Which is nice to see. That is what I thought. Oh, I was so naive, Light. I can't believe how naive I was.
Oh my god, as he does end up actually pivoting around towards the 3rd base location, but oh my god, the anti-armor missile!
It's absolutely massive. It's why, these Marines on their own, even though he has a lower count of them over here, Binski is able to kind of win that engagement. A lot of tanks coming in here. The air support is coming in to, help defend. And so is the rest of the army.
Yeah, we have the disables. It looks like Binski is going to be able to clean all of this up. Vindicta will retreat to this location, but again, the disables are on point.
They absolutely are. So many tanks over here for Binski. Arguably, some might argue that there are too many, but it's what's preventing Vindicta from really encroaching into him.
Yeah, again, even though we have these defensive tanks, we have enough Ravens to just keep on disabling. The Vikings will all land, and now Binski is just going to keep on forcing himself forward. This 3rd base is going to go down. At the same time, Vindicta goes for a massive counterattack.
And this is what he likes doing, and we'll see if it works out for him this time.
Good.
Yeah, not a lot to really support the armies over here.
Yeah, exactly. Liberators are going to put a hold to this counterattack. The natural is completely safe, but he does block himself up from the 5th base, so Vindicta can still maybe get a base here. Meanwhile, Binski is looking to get on top of that production.
And they're going to try to trade a tank for a tank. And I will say that I feel like Binski's tanks right now are locked into this position. He does have a couple of medevacs, so he can try to, lift them up and get into the main base, which is he's trying to do right now.
Yeah, he will pick up. The main base is completely forfeit here for Vindicta. Even though the supplies are close, Vindicta just won't be able to rebuild. Thankfully, he does have some production outside. He's rebuilding his production right now. Liberators are coming in as well. Can he encircle this army? Can he clean up all of these tanks, which, as you said, are kind of locked and stuck here?
Yeah, he needs to try to deal with all of these Vikings. That's what's really preventing him from dropping on top of all of this. If he tries to go for a surround, I think there are too many tanks for Binski for that surround to really work. And they're in a choke point.
They really are. I mean, Vindicta, he's going to have to approach this methodically here. He may even have to pull a couple of boys. He is kind of, again, bringing together everything, his entire forces. But he has to be careful because now Binski, he's been able to rebuild.
Oh, but the tanks! Spotter tanks will be taking out a couple of Marines, so they will be dealt with in the end. Auto turrets getting thrown down to do whatever they can.
Exactly, and it looks like Vindicta's a little bit preoccupied here on the left-hand side instead, but again, the disables come in. These Ravens have done so well for Binski this entire game.
They absolutely have. Vindicta, he was already spread thin, and now that the tanks are being taken out, he's spread even thinner. Marines trying to converge on top of all of this, but they all go down. Far too many tanks are in position, and C-shot for Binski. GG is called, and Binski ties up that series sideways 1-1.
GG. GG. Well played, Binski. Again, I think we talked about this during the qualifiers. He's like the swarm Terran, where he just mass expands, his economy gets out of control, and he can just send wave after wave of units at you. It's a very unique style of Binski, and it can be terrifying.
Oh, it absolutely is. Wise Man once said that the best late-game Terran unit is Mass Marine. And we can kind of see why in this case. They're just so mobile. They can defend at any position, especially combined with the map vision that he was getting, thanks to all those sensor towers and whatnot. He always knew where to go back and forth, and I also do kind of feel like that was a scenario where you see Binski's strategy of just getting as big of an economy as possible, throwing down all of those bases, and getting, like you said, a bit of a swarm Terran style, beat out the tactics of Vindicta, because Vindicta definitely had the better engagements initially, but Binski was able to outgrow him so quickly.
Exactly, and I feel like he also kind of got a really good read on Vindicta's style there. As the game progressed, Vindicta, he kept trying to go for all these like run-bys, but he himself was getting caught out instead. They weren't really paying for themselves. I think, yeah, Vindicta was just maybe having a little bit too much fun there.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and it just didn't work out. Binski, solid, man.
Solid like a ice. I don't know what I was calling that. As we continue and now conclude this best of 3 series on Berlingrad. Did not anticipate this to be the ace map. We're in the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have the blue Terran player coming out from the land of, I believe, California? Somewhere around that west area of America. He, of course, is going to be representing our very own CranKy Ducklings. Makes himself. We have Vindicta.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Berlingrad ESL, we have the red Terran player himself, representing Team License to Kill LTK. It is Binski.
And I know I mentioned this as we loaded in light, but I can't believe that we're on Berlingrad for the ace map.
I know, right? I know. Like, there's something about these NA players. They are not afraid. I am. They are not.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they should be afraid, you know, but
yeah.
they aren't. Maybe
they should be. Oh, God. Again, I'm just another massive shout out to Binski, because I mentioned this during the qualifiers, and I'll mention it again. This is his first time here in DreamHack at this level of play. You know, he's been kind of an online ladder hero for a very long time. In my mind, Binski is almost like the modern day Hitman, you know, where he's just been very active in the online scene, and now finally he's just making his debut in the pro scene. And he's looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, he's definitely the underdog, no matter how you slice it, against the vast majority of his opponents here in Group B, and to be able to take a map immediately and, you know, honestly, potentially take the series as well. That's going to be a great start for him.
Exactly. Like, even though Binski has been around for many years, and he has been, it's one of those things where when it comes to the mainstream audience, the mainstream StarCraft scene, I do feel like a lot of people just probably have never heard of him before, you know, because he hasn't been a part of DreamHack, he hasn't been a part of, you know, WCS Premier League and stuff like that. So yeah, I do think this is a great introduction for him. I do think that, again, he looked very impressive in that last game, and he's here to become, you know, to make a name for himself.
Chad's definitely knew of him before now, though.
Oh yeah. I can see a lot of
the NA enjoyers, you know.
Yeah,
definitely know of him.
Shout out to all the LTK boys. I see them there in the chats. He has a lot of teammates. License to Kill is a very big team, and his boys are here to cheer him on. So yeah, it's great to see. It's great to see.
Yeah, always nice to know that. Always nice to know when you're being supported, you know.
Definitely. Ooh, and this can still go either way. Meanwhile, very interesting opener here from Vindicta, going for Odamite.
Huh. He's getting starport now. What is he gonna build for that starport, though?
We'll see. Meanwhile, his two Reapers trying to edge themselves into the main base, but with the Cyclone, Binski is going to be able to thwart them, push them back.
That's one of the first times I saw a KD8 charge push a Reaper from one cliff to another. That and down a cliff at that.
Yeah. Oh god, I think thankfully for Vindicta there that he was able to escape and get away. Meanwhile, very cheeky Widowmine is going to be able to establish himself here. We'll see how good the shot is going to go off as Binski is on the way.
Yeah, that's definitely one way of shutting down the Reapers initially. Even kind of hiding the mine with his own Reapers. But Binski goes around. Yeah, that's kind of what Vindicta does. That's kind of beneficial for Vindicta anyway, though. Gets the first shot off.
Yeah, he does. It looks like the Reapers are going to get cleaned up here. Unfortunately, Widowmine shot doesn't quite go off. Not yet, not yet.
Calm down, Mix.
In my mind, he's like, oh my god, a Widowmine! And he's like, oh, it's mine. He's like, oh, right, yeah, my bad.
Like, oh, right, I made this. Why did I make this?
I mean, hey, look, I love it. He's here in the fog of war, in the tall grass, waiting for anything to run by, which could happen at any moment. Whether it's a drop, whether it's a marine, whether it's a cyclone.
Yeah, a really good way of just, again, kind of making it so that your opponent doesn't quite get the map control. You know, it doesn't really secure your own map control, but it gives you a bit of vision, and it acts as a bit of a deterrent.
Yeah, yeah. Really does. As the openers are just getting underway, we do see Binski already working on his third CC up here in his main base. So far, pretty well fortified, and there's no really easy way in for Vindicta. Like, you could maybe try and YOLO all these Reapers in, but is it really worth it? You won't really get much done. There's already a tank in position. So for now, we're just kind of chilling.
And Vindicta definitely already has an inkling of what Binski is going for. Even throws a scan just to be doubly sure. And yeah, we're going for another Marine tank versus Marine tank, it seems.
Yeah. For the time being, it seems like we should be getting into Biotank versus Biotank. No more mech here for Vindicta. You could argue, like, Berlingrad isn't the worst map for it. It is small, and there aren't a lot of kind of bases to take to establish yourself. But, you know, we have seen it work in the past.
Yeah, I think because it's so small and there aren't that many bases to take, it almost acts as a double-edged sword there, right? If the Terran player is able to catch wind of mech early on enough and, you know, is able to have that roving army back preventing bases from getting up and running, then it does hurt the mech player a little bit more. But yeah, it's definitely a risk-reward here. If you were to it's definitely risk-reward, but it's also a moot point because, you know, neither player's going for mech, so...
Yeah, with good reason, As we do see both of them just trying to maintain control of the map, trying to get vision wherever they can. Binski about to get his third. Vindicta getting his own third on location, though, and it looks like this will get scouted by Binski's Marine.
Oh. Poor Marine, man. I just want to say hi to the SCV.
Hey, guys, well,
no trespassing.
Feels bad, man. It feels bad. But a much more calm down game here period out of all three of them, which makes sense. You know, we are in the ace match. Both players have to be oh so careful.
Yeah, you don't want to risk anything right now.
Exactly, as we're just tightening things up here, we do see a scan confirming the buy, confirming the stim, as well as more Raxes are on the way here from the side of Binski.
And vice versa here. Binski sending Vindicta to do the exact same.
I don't know if I've ever seen Binski go mech before, so I don't know if that's really kind of in his repertoire. But you do see now he's moving out across the map. Quickly looking at the units tab, we do see 2 Ravens versus 2 Ravens. Widowmine is going to get cleaned up.
Yeah, unfortunately there wasn't an armory done yet for Vindicta, so he wasn't able to force a scan or anything. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. There are Ravens already, so...
Yeah. Binski is trying to shark his way around. Sensor Tower does finish up here for Vindicta. It does let him know that where the army is not. At the same time, ooh, even the Banshee comes in.
Yeah, it takes out a couple of SCVs, but more importantly, distracts a couple of the reinforcements here of Binski.
Yeah, exactly. Binski, his main army hasn't really been able to find a way in. Banshee's gonna get even more kills. Oh my god.
Banshee's doing way more than it really should at this point.
Yeah, the Banshee even survives here in the dead space after 6 SCVs go down. Binski, I'm sure he's thinking like, do I send my Vikings back home just to deal with it? Is that really a wise choice? I don't really want to. He gets scanned. Can't anymore.
Yeah, because of all these reinforcements being back home and because of all the momentum being stifled here for Binski, he's just so much more hesitant to push in. He knows that Vindicta in all of this time has been tightening up his defenses, sieging up a couple more tanks, and now he's kind of back to square one, you know?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, unfortunately I didn't get to see when the second engineering bay was finished, but 1-1 is a little bit mistimed here for Binski, +1 armor, only just now finishing, starting, sorry, so a little bit lopsided.
Yeah, and the armory isn't done yet for him either, so it's going to take a while for him to even get +2.
Oh, meanwhile, his tanks are going to be able to siege up here. Nice disable on the medevac.
Yeah, barely any Marines are going to be able to come out from that that medevac. Liberators looking to siege up. Fortunately, Binski was able to unsiege just as that tank was getting disabled, so he's not going to lose too much here.
Exactly, only loses his Marines, and thankfully they are expendable. Vindicta, I love it, he just throws down another sensor tower. Again, he needs to be in position for these engagements. Rotate over towards the third.
I feel like Vindicta has kind of accepted his place in the dynamic in this series. He's generally always been the defender, at least in the early game, against Binski's aggression.
Yeah, I do like this adaptation from him. Like, we saw how aggressive he was trying to be in game number 2, and it just wasn't working for him. So again, just kind of chilling here at home instead. Oh, does end up losing his sensor tower, which is a little bit scary, but he is rebuilding it.
Yeah, and he's got good eyes in the main army right now of Binski, so yeah, as long as he's aware of where the army's at, he doesn't always need those sensor towers. Just that the sensor tower helps him figure out where it's at.
Yeah.
So I guess he does need the sensor towers.
They're good units, you know, they're good buildings to have, as we can see basically both armies dancing with each other. Vindicta getting a little bit more aggressive here, is able to pick off one more of those units. Behind this though, with all this map control, Binski does get his 4th up and running, already fully saturated. My god.
Yeah, Vindicta's struggling to finish up his own, and he's even gonna have a little bit of trouble landing it. Binski doing bio-Terran things, but doing aggressive Terran things, I should say, rather, where he's just making it difficult for Vindicta to expand, even if he can't push into him.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Vindicta has had enough being the defender. He is going for a little bit of a double jump towards that main base. No missile turrets at all! Uh-oh.
Oh, this is gonna hurt. Binski is maxed out, by the way, and the majority of his army is across the map. Vindicta so well fortified, so well sieged up back at home. Binski has to bring everything back.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go, double jump into the main base. We have medevacs to defend, question mark. We do have a single tank in the main base, and maybe that's going to be enough, but the tank is going to go down. At the same time, though, Vindicta was a little bit careless. He did end up losing a lot of his Vikings.
Yeah, a little bit too idle there. Drop does get cleaned up. Ooh, even the medevacs being taken out. Great disables from Binski, but arguably better ones coming out from Vindicta, just because he does have the high ground. Liberator in position to delete a whole bunch of tanks, and that's a pretty good lead, but understandably Vindicta is hesitant to push down this, just because those defensive units that went back home for Binski, they're already across the map, as we are in Berlin-Grad.
Yeah, they are coming to reinforce that main army. Binski trying to rotate around towards the 4th base location here. Vindicta will be able to siege in time. Ooh.
Great disable on this Liberator. You know, Vindicta has been very conservative with his Liberator production throughout the series for whatever reason.
Yeah, they have been doing a lot for him though, and again, Binski, because of the drop earlier, he wasn't able to really kind of bolster his force here, so Vindicta has been able to hold on. Tanks are in range of his planetary though.
Yeah, but he's sieging up a couple of tanks to deal with that now.
Oh my god.
Oh, loving this reposition here.
Yeah, Vindicta, he cannot stop this, and he's doing it again. He's going for a massive run by instead. He may end up losing his base because of this.
Oh, we'll see how good these repairs can be. Great disables on top of these tanks, and the auto turret to support as well. But without high-sec auto tracking, this
doesn't matter though.
Yeah, that planetary couldn't defend itself, but maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah, a massive
Return
counterattack.
position.
The CC gets deleted. The 6th base may go down as well. Again, this planetary is still under threat, but one Viking is going to be able to take down this tank.
Oh, I love that he didn't land all of them unnecessarily either.
Yeah.
That Viking was being shelled away by all those tanks earlier on, and suddenly Vindicta takes a slight, well, I say slight lead because he does have the all 4 bases up and running, but he also lost a couple of his SCVs, didn't he?
Oh my god, exactly. He's looking to surround the army of Binski. He has to be so careful with how he maneuvers. Doesn't want to go off the rip. Up!
But he stims forward as everything is unsieged. Vikings should land as well. He actually doesn't even need to in the back line. As he resets the tank count, he does give up all of his bio in that position, and I think that is just enough to cost him the game. Binski moving forward with Mass Marine. Tanks are not sieged.
Oh, they're not in position, Poppy. The Marines are stimming on forward, and it looks like they may be able to take down this CC. They cannot push up this ramp. There are just far too many tanks, but Binski, he doesn't go for it. He goes for the base instead.
Deletes that CC, and actually not able to kill that many SCVs.
Oh my god, the power of Berlingrad, like these Marine run-bys hit so quick, and again, Binski is just mass expanding behind this. That's a scary thing. Vindicta's really struggling here, stuck on 3 base economy. He's trying to throw down 2 CCs at once, but Binski is just taking every single base on the map, every other base on the map.
Yeah, that was just about perfect timing for Binski to move in as well, because just as that engagement finished up, Vindicta finished 3-3.
Yeah. Oof. So despite Vindicta having 2 upgrades ahead of his opponent, it just doesn't matter, not anymore, especially after losing all those Marines. This was a questionable engagement here as well when he tried to dive on top of those unsieged tanks, but at least Vindicta is slowing down the economy a little bit here with this Liberator.
Yeah, again, there's not enough anti-air in position. The Marines, the majority of the Marines anyway, are in the front lines. Again, just trying to make Vindicta as uncomfortable as possible with expanding.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Binski is always trying to find another way in. But so far, the defenses of Vindicta are on point. Able to hold on for now. And this Liberator is doing so much, mate. He's basically keeping the economy even right now. Otherwise, Binski would be a base ahead. This is pretty huge for one Lib.
It really is, yeah. And meanwhile, the air dominance is making Binski back off a little bit. Vindicta will have a little bit more breathing room to get his 5th and potentially 6th base up and running as well. Problem is, Binski will have eyes on the expansion.
Yeah, the Marines all over the place here for Binski. Any kind of momentum that Binski had earlier is now gone. After like 2 minutes, finally this Liberator is going to go down. I did see a couple of Vikings in production. There we go. They are on the way. So finally, but when the Vikings leave, the drop comes in.
And Vindicta is already maxed out at the moment. Binski really has to pick and choose where he positions his anti-air. Starport's going to go down, and that's really a key building right now at the late game of TvT. You need that air dominance. You need those Ravens.
Yeah, I love it. It's a little small detail that it doesn't happen too often, but to take down one of the starports is huge. It is going to be rebuilt. At the same time, finally, Liberator goes down. Finally, Binski can resume mining here at the 5th base.
Yeah, he's maxed out, and he's looking to punish Vindicta for sending out that triple drop, but Vindicta able to remax, you know?
Oh my god, and the
drop
hasn't
been that touch. Wow.
The drop isn't done.
The entire army of Binski pulls back to deal with that. And again, Vindicta struggling a little bit, or at least a little bit behind when it comes to the army supply, but he's got so many tanks. They're all sieged up in the right location as well. It'd take a lot more than, you know, having a maxed out army for Binski to really push into this.
I think that's a very important thing to take note of, though, is that if they're in the right location. Right now, Vindicta is spread a little bit thin. We got tanks towards the north, we got tanks towards the middle, tanks towards the south as well. He has a nice wall, but again, like, it will mean that Binski will have more supply in that one location pushing in. So we'll see if Vindicta can keep up.
Yeah, once again, the air dominance is going to be absolutely key for him. A scan will even things out a little bit. Binski is concentrating all of his tanks, but I mean, this one medevac can't even heal.
It's crazy to think about that Binski has completely given up on the skies. He's like, nah, mate. Like, you know, it's kind of scary, but it does mean that he does have a lot of firepower.
Yeah, man, we've got OP, you know?
It's pretty good.
Stim on top of the tanks, and you mentioned earlier on that Vindicta is spread a little bit thin when it comes to his tank positioning. All it takes is for Binski to, concentrate his forces on one location where Vindicta has a little bit of a chink in the armor, and that has the potential to snowball, but this is a very nice pickoff for Vindicta.
Yeah, he got, what, 3 tanks there? Very nicely done, catching him on siege. Binski, with that kind of loss, he will have to back up. What's important is that Binski is trying to resume air dominance. Vikings are on the way. Ravens are on the way as well. He did rebuild his second starport that he lost, but he needs a little bit of time to slowly gather that energy. So Vindicta has plenty of time to fortify himself and, again, just establish all of his bases.
Yeah, meanwhile, Vindicta sees what Binski is going for and raises him one better with +1 ship weapons, as well as covert reactors. Just have better ravens right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little bit surprised here. I think it's a little bit of a mistake. Binski never started 3-3. Like, it's just never begun for him. Despite him having honestly a really great economy and having a bank right now, there's nothing stopping him from getting the upgrade. So it is something that's slipping his mind a little bit here.
Yeah, I definitely didn't notice that, just because it's something that we do expect the players to have at this point. Vindicta is gonna have such a massive lead, not just in bioweapons and armor, but also in vehicle weapons, eventually in ship weapons as well, vehicle armor eventually.
Upgrades, period. It's something that Binski is neglecting. He's just focusing everything on his army. So he's falling apart a little bit here as the game goes on. Even in this engagement, a couple of Ravens went down, a couple of Vikings as well. Liberator sieges up, does get a tank. More Ravens! Ugh.
Yeah, sort of got picked off. And it's important to note, Binski loves his Swarm Terran style. You can't swarm if you're even in supply.
Oh my god, the Suicide Kamikaze drop here on every single one of these tanks. Ravens will be able to keep them alive, but not before 3 tanks go down, and that was almost all the Raven energy.
Yeah, now there's really not much of a buffer for these tanks. Vindicta recognizes his supply lead, and he stims on forward to punish this 6-base location.
Yeah, exactly, and it looks like he won't be able to keep on pushing towards that 3rd base, but the 6th base is going to be forced lift up for the time being. Ooh, Vindicta can't really force his way in anymore, but Binski, his bank is actually running out.
If he's +1 ship weapons, he still lacks 3-3 bio.
Yeah, exactly. He does have a lot of energy-based units here. He does have a decent amount of Ravens, but he cannot remax. Like this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, his bank is gone. He's struggling at 160 supply. He does siege first, though.
He does, and a lot of disables get thrown down on top of these tanks. The Liberators, however, not really being punished until now. It's just enough armor on top of these tanks to survive a couple of those Liberator shots, but now Vindicta has reestablished his air dominance. These Ravens, rather, just do not have energy on them to even things out.
Yeah, it looks like Vindicta just barely wins that fight, but with the reinforcements, Vindicta, he just doesn't have enough Vikings. He's making 5 Vikings at a time right now. No, the Yaku curse! The tanks were locked in.
Yeah, that's what happens when you join the CranKy Ducklings.
It's true. We're sorry, Biggs. We're sorry. Binski is listening to the stream. 3-3 is on the way. His upgrades have resumed, but Kappa.
Here's the thing, his 3-3 has resumed. He's not making Marines. I almost thought for a sec he might be thinking of transitioning full on to mech from here because he wasn't getting those upgrades, but now, yeah, it's questionable to say the least.
Yeah, now the Marines are flooding on in. There's no buffer here for Binski. Every single tank is going to go down. The Ravens are out of energy as well, and Vindicta has finally broken him.
Yeah, he's stimming on forward with everything he's got. His tanks are going to be completely undeterred. GG is called. Vindicta takes that series 2-1, but Binski made it very, very close.
Oh, GG. Well played. That was such a close series there. There were even moments where Binski was winning that game as well. Like, he was doing so well until that massive run by, right? Until Vindicta his drops were just dealing a little bit too much damage. He was barely able to hold on after losing his 3rd base. And Binski, I think because of all the pressure, because of everything that was going on, he did end up falling behind heavily in those upgrades. And that did affect those fights.
Really did. Honestly, I think a big takeaway from this is that Binski made it very, very close. we went all the way to the ace match, and even in game number 3, there were a lot of opportunities where, Migs may have been taken out. But, like you said, just having his attention completely stretched like that, and a couple of mistakes, and honestly some bizarre decisions when it came to engaging, was what allowed Vindicta to eventually take the win.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't an immediate thing either.
I think, like, even though we are a little bit biased here in favor of Vindicta, even though we love him and he is our boy, he's my son, my third favorite. Nah, maybe second, maybe second.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But
You're never gonna reveal who the others are. Just you should say that everyone's his second favorite, just to keep them all, guessing.
There you go, mate. The mind games, the emotional damage on the kids.
Now you're learning how to tiger parent.
Oh god. But what I was gonna say is that despite the fact that he lost, like, he looked really damn good. And I want to put this into perspective. Vindicta, he 2-0'd Bjorn. He 2-0'd Bjorn, and Binski took a game of him. That's impressive, right? Binski did what Bjorn could not.
Pretty much. Actually take a game off of the old MiG-15. I'm gonna call him as.
But GG, well played. That was a stressful series. I hope both players are going to be able to walk away happy with that, because even though Binski lost, like, again, he went to the ace match, and he was even able to again look really solid in that game as well. Just whether it was the pressure, whether it was just, I mean, the fact that this is his first time in ESL Pro Tour, like, yeah, like there were a couple of mistakes.
Exactly. This is his first time in playing in a DreamHack Masters, and honestly, taking a map out of Vindicta is more than what a lot of people probably expected. So, I do think that it bodes well for the rest of this, group stage. Again, even though he lost, taking one map can make the difference between him eventually making it out or not making it out as the rest of the matches get played out. One of them actually going to be happening now. It's going to be a TvP, Binski versus Disc, after we come back.
Exactly. Stay tuned for our first Protoss player in DreamHack NA.
And the only one that we're going to be casting as well.